Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today. You know, everything these last few days have been Venezuela, and the last couple of days is the assassination by ICE on an innocent American woman. And I called it an assassination, a murder all at once, because it's almost like they have this stuff planned out. They want to hurt people. They want to hurt people because they want people scared. Later on, I'm going to play a video with a pastor that'll let you know exactly what we're talking about when we say, no, these guys want you to be afraid of them. They want to show you that they are in control and they're going to remake America the way they want to remake America. Anyway, we're also going to talk about the ACA subsidies. Remember, as we really talk about these issues on Venezuela, as we talk about these issues on the killing, the murder by the ICE agent on this good young American woman, mother, former wife, current wife, as we look at that, we have to be cognizant that our brothers and sisters, Americans throughout this country, are also suffering. And to tell you the truth, they may be suffering so hard that they don't even have the time to digest what's happening with Rene and with the invasion of Venezuela. I mean, I want you to think about that. They may not have the time to think about Rene Good. Rene Nicole Good is the name of the woman who was murdered by ICE. Remember that name. Rest in peace, Rene Good. Rene Good. Actually, I said Goodman. Rene Good. That's who they murdered. Let me see if I can get a picture of her on the screen for us. You know, this is who ICE murdered. Let's grow that screen up some if I can. Maybe I can get it a little bigger. That is a young woman murdered by ICE. We repeat her name, Rene Nicole Good. Rene Nicole Good. I mean, what did she do other than being moral, other than being concerned about her neighbors? And she got a death sentence from the Trump administration for doing that. And instead of saying, let's give an apology, let's go ahead and say, oh, maybe we need to modify. You know what the vice president said in his news conference today? She brought it on to herself. That is what the vice president said. The vice president said, she brought it on to herself. That the heartlessness of these people, they call this woman a domestic terrorist. Look in the mirror, guys. You don't matter with this administration. There are two sets of people that doesn't matter. And this came up in my tweet, right? That, yes, we understand that they're after people of color. That is one of the framing. But there's one group of folks these guys hate much more than people of color, and that is our white brothers and sisters who are in alliance with all people, including people of color. Usually, you had a certain thing that sort of protected you. Not this time, baby. We are going to have to take the moral compass of this country back. I repeat, we're going to have to take the moral compass of this country back, because what Donald Trump and his ilk has done to it is shameful. If you had listened to the vice president today, you could not have been more than embarrassed that he came out and attacked this woman, called this woman a domestic terrorist, says that this woman brought her own demise. She brought it on to herself. She brought it on to herself. There's a certain amount of depravity there. Um, you, you know, but I tell you what goes around comes around. I repeat, what goes around comes around. And while these guys are hyperventilating in their power, you watch Stephen Miller on TV, and Stephen Miller is all pompous. We are in control, and we are going to control. We are going to control that country. You know, they are in such control. They are going to run it. They are going to make it happen. But you know what, folks? What they don't understand is what comes around, or what goes around comes around. And they have something coming around for them. They may not know it quite yet, but they have something coming. There is a, I don't know if I can actually get it played in the I just taped a piece and I didn't get a chance to process it. But what I want to see, if I get an option to, I'm going to try a trick here. I don't know if it's going to work because it's a piece I really wanted to show. Is it going to be? I don't think I can get it to work. No, I can't get it to work, but that's all right. That's all right. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. But anyway, that is a person murdered by ICE. Catherine Hill says that was such a horrible news broadcast by the VP. I couldn't stand to watch him, but wanted to bear witness. Yeah, he scolded the media for once. The mainstream media did not buy into the right wing narrative. They thought that by coming up early and pointing out the narrative, it is terror, that they were going to win the battle, but they didn't. But they didn't. I'm glad to see. Welcome aboard, Yvette Avery Herod. Welcome aboard, Udi Deemer. Welcome aboard, Yvette from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have Harry Denston from Missouri City, Texas. We have Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas, and Michael Rudden, Brooklyn, New York, has a few things for me to show as well. Joanne Mil Preciosa, Joanne from Los Angeles, California. Welcome. Alan Ziesman, Michael Wing, Catherine Hill, P.F., Neil Berger, Cynthia and Foster, Sue Gilbert, Jennifer Hunter, Keith Bungardy, Richard C. Brown. Thank you guys for all being here. Lynette, how you doing, beautiful Lynette? Robert D. Golston, Betty Sheldon. Betty, how are you doing? Preciosa. Mark, welcome aboard. If I missed your name, and Dale, if you want to be called out, just throw it into the chat with your state and city and state, and I'll be more than happy to do so. I love calling out people just to show that this is a community. This is a PDR posse. If you are here, you are in the PDR posse. I repeat, if you are here, you are in the PDR posse. PF, what you want me to stop about? If you're here, we're in the PDR posse. LBW, la profesora, how you doing? You know I love my teachers. Is that the Betty who calls your show? I don't know if that's a Betty from the mornings. Hey, Betty, are you the Betty who calls every morning with a written note to tell us? We'd be love to know. Jessica B, welcome aboard. All right. I think I had a piece here that was sent to me by our good friend, and let me see if I can get that played first. It was a really good piece that Yvette Avery Herod sent that I wanted to get on. Let me see, Yvette, if I can get to it. And if I can get to it, I do want to play that. That was a good piece. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember it was good. You know, there's a whole lot going on here, Yvette. There's a whole lot going on. So let's go ahead and see if I can get that. Oh, that's right. Here we go. That is right. Um, let's see if I can get the link for it, and then I can copy the link for it. I think I may be able to do it, Yvette. I think I may be able to do it. Here we go. Folks, this was beautiful what she sent me. I hadn't seen this one from Sateo, but here we go with it right now, and then we'll get started with the other stuff. Let's go with what Yvette brought us. All right, come on, bring that up.
For the past few weeks that the left in America won't talk about fraud, about Somali fraud. They're super mad about Somali fraud. Well, let's prove them wrong, shall we? Let's talk about Somali fraud. Give me just 60 seconds. Start the clock. Let's talk about convicted fraudster Trevor Milton, who defrauded his investors, cost them tens of millions of dollars and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Oh wait, he's not Somali and Donald Trump pardoned him last year. Let's talk about convicted fraudster Paul Walsack, who stole over $7 million from his employees' paychecks and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Oh wait, he's not Somali and Donald Trump pardoned him last year. Let's talk about convicted fraudster Michelle Fury, who took $70,000 meant for a memorial to fallen police officers and spent it on herself, including on cosmetic surgery. Oh wait, she's not Somali and Donald Trump pardoned her last year. Let's talk about Lawrence Duran, who led at the time the largest therapy-related Medicare fraud scheme in history, was sentenced to 50 years in prison and ordered to pay back $87 million. Oh wait, he's not Somali and Donald Trump commuted his sentence last year. Let's talk about Philip S. Storms, who orchestrated the biggest criminal healthcare fraud, Medicare fraud in American history, over $1 billion in fraudulent claims, and who was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Oh wait, he's not Somali and Donald Trump commuted his sentence back in 2020. Let's talk about David Gentile, who defrauded over 10,000 investors of over $1.6 billion in what was basically a Ponzi scheme and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Oh wait, he's not Somali and Donald Trump pardoned him just last month. So remember, they're so bothered by Somali fraud, not because they're bothered by fraud, their hero keeps pardoning the fraudsters, but because they're bothered by Somalis. And yes, that makes them racists.
Was that a good one? I love fact-based retorts, fact-based pushbacks. Love that. Love that. Anyway, folks, let's see what Brother Rudnin has for us, and then we'll go ahead and start with the other part of our program. I hope it's as good. Here we go.
Name was Renee Good. She was 30. We now know the identity of the person that the ICE thugs killed today. Her name was Renee Good. She was 37. She was a mother, and ICE shot her in the face. And look at the way that they're already framing it. This is what I mean when I tell you guys that the way that they weaponize the word terrorism to mean anything they want it to mean, how dangerous that is for just everyday people, okay? Because if everything you don't like is terrorism, then they can do whatever they want. And you have the fucking feds now getting on TV like Kristi Noem, excusing her murder. Being like, well, it was terrorism. And they were defending themselves. It's amazing that they're using the literal same lines that the IOF always uses. Oh, it was self-defense. Oh, it was terrorism. Like literally word for word, the same defense that the Israeli regime uses. The difference is that Americans still have some autonomy, so we can decide whether or not we accept this trash. Unlike the Palestinians, who don't have a say in any of that because they are completely fucking oppressed. They don't have any rights. They don't have any freedom. They can't fight anything. There's no justice for the Palestinians when this happens to them. This happening in our fucking streets, Americans can decide not to put up with that or not. Who is the person that killed her? Who is the thug that killed her? Do we know who he is? We should. We now know the identity of.
Actually, we do have his identity now. They just released it. I can't recall what it is right now. But here is the second one from Brother Rudnin about the real reason you can't afford your home.
Catastrophic.
Really just a few firms have been able to target and corner the market here. Their business model is built on exploitation and on having a very uneven playing field tilted in their favor.
It makes you feel insane because it's like there's a conspiracy against me at this point.
If you're looking for a place to live right now, you face a radically different housing market than people did even just 15 years ago. Home prices have gone up, rents have gone up, evictions have increased, and a whole group of would-be home buyers has been priced out of homeownership, becoming permanent renters. They've been replaced by an industry that treats our communities and neighborhoods like a day trader treats stocks, just something to buy and sell to maximize return.
This is a problem that didn't exist 10 or 15 years ago.
Taylor Shelton is a geographer who maps the ownership of single-family homes.
Prior to the 2008 foreclosure crisis, large corporations were really not involved in the single-family rental market at all.
After the 2008 crash, Wall Street saw an opportunity in millions of foreclosed homes, especially in the Sunbelt cities hardest hit.
What the foreclosure crisis presented was a mass of available inventory for extremely cheap.
So when property values skyrocketed over the next decade, the proceeds went to Wall Street, not to the people who now rented the homes. The result has been a housing recovery without a homeowner recovery. By 2022, large investors were buying more than 1 in every 4 single-family homes sold in the US.
There's really 3 things that these landlords are able to do. The first is these landlords raise rent and fees at much faster rates than any other type of landlord. The second thing is that eviction is a really core part of their business model. Institutional investors are way more likely to file for eviction, not as a kind of last resort, but actually at the very first moment they're able to. And then the third thing is that we know these companies are actually producing worse outcomes in terms of building maintenance. So they are in effect providing a worse product for higher prices.
In Atlanta, Wall Street landlords now own more than a quarter of single-family homes. I met up with Robbie Caban, an Atlanta broker who's been working in real estate for over a decade.
What I've seen is that my clientele, that buying pool of first-time homeowners, they're no longer able to purchase. They have just been wiped out because they cannot compete with the other buyers in the market. The pool of homes available has been so diminished that in essence, normal people are priced out and they're forced into rentals.
According to one study, the shift from owning to renting has resulted in over $1 billion of lost equity for renters over the last 10 years. And that's just in Atlanta.
It's been catastrophic.
Really just a few firms have been able
There we go. Now we got sound. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. All right. That is excellent. Robbie Caban, I know her. She's a friend of mine out of Atlanta, in fact. And we did a piece with the area that where what you find, where the producer or the filmmaker Tyler Perry is. We actually did a piece where she went on base and showed how the area where Tyler Perry is getting gentrified and people losing their homes. Yeah, we did all of that with Robbie Caban there in Atlanta, Georgia. But anyhow, since we're talking about what's ailing people right now, I think it's actually the opportune time for me to play the piece on the ACA subsidies. As usual, Stephen Ratner did a great job to show what's happening with the ACA subsidies. And unfortunately, like I pointed out over and over again, red states are the ones that are going to suffer bigly. I want you to listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
The fact that Obamacare has become something of a dirty word from Republicans, the benefits, excuse me, including these subsidies, are enjoyed by people of all parties. Well, you've got the power of the charts right now. So let's start with your first one, which gets into just how many people rely on these healthcare subsidies that we've been talking about.
Sure, Willie. Look, healthcare is an unbelievably confusing subject. So it seemed to me we might start with a little bit of a level setting just to help people understand what we're talking about. Out of our 330 million or so Americans, almost exactly half of Americans get their healthcare from their employer, 161 million. Medicaid and Medicare represent about roughly another third of our health care. What we're talking about now is the so-called marketplace, where individuals who don't have these things go to buy coverage. And this was established under Obamacare. And so there are 21 million people who are at risk at the moment because these health care subsidies actually expired on January 1st. Lost, as you said, a bit amidst the Venezuela thing. And then you have the military. And we still have, incredibly, 27 million people in this country who don't have health insurance, richest country in the world, and we can't provide health care for all of our folks. So back in the early Biden administration, they passed an expansion of these subsidies that helped these 21 million people. And so, lo and behold, you had roughly 10, 11 million people getting this. So you passed the subsidies, and now you have these 21 million people getting it. These are the percentage of the people who get the subsidies to buy this health care. Roughly everybody who buys health care in the marketplace gets a subsidy. These are essentially all lower income people near the poverty line. Poverty line for an individual is $16,000 in this country, so you can imagine none of these people make a heck of a lot of money by American standards. And so the subsidies are a key element of why they're able to do this. And this is what's at risk here now, is the health care for the 21 million people. The House passed that piece of legislation, as you mentioned. Nobody thinks it's going anywhere in the Senate at the moment. The Senate's trying to cobble together a bill. But meanwhile, these things expired January 1st, and people are having to make their decisions about whether to buy health care or not.
And so, Steve, as we move to your second chart, for those 21 million people, this lift in the cost is not marginal. This can be backbreaking for a lot of families.
It is not close to being marginal. It is absolutely backbreaking. So let's just take somebody who makes $35,000 a year. He or she was paying about $1,000 for their health care. It is now going to go up by $1,600 to $2,600. If you make $35,000 a year, $1,600 a year is obviously a heck of a lot of money. And so all the way across the board, it is resulting in massive increases in premiums, roughly a doubling for people who buy their insurance in this marketplace. And as I'll talk more about in a second, a number of them, therefore, will have to drop out of this and not have health insurance at all. But in the meantime, let's talk about the geographical distributional effects of this, because it's not equal. So these dark-colored states, which are red states for reasons I'll explain right now, are the biggest losers in this. Over 10% of their population is enrolled in these marketplaces and are going to be affected by this. Why are they the red states? Because the red states did not opt in to the expansion of Medicaid that was passed under the Affordable Care Act. And so a lot of their folks, because they did not opt in to these Medicaid expansions, went into the marketplace, and so they have a disproportionately large number of people buying their insurance through the mechanism I just described. So they're going to be amongst the biggest losers. Obviously, given the amount of effort that the Republicans are now trying to put into coming up with a health care bill, they do seem to recognize that this is not the outcome that they should want. But it's very complicated. You have people on all sides of the issue, whether they'll get something done or not, who knows. But these are the people who are going to be most affected.
And the loss of these tax credits, Steve, as we look at your third chart, is compounded by the one big beautiful bill and some changes made to Medicaid.
Yeah, so the one big beautiful bill also actually had an even bigger set of changes to the healthcare system that will go to the negative. Particularly, they cut back on the Medicaid eligibility. For example, they imposed work requirements. When you put the two things together, here's what is expected to happen based on CBO and KFF, which is an independent healthcare firm, have come up with. So back here, we had 45 million people uninsured. Obamacare took it all the way down to to this 25-ish number, roughly where we are now. A lot of improvement, still not obviously perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But you now have these two pieces of legislation. The changes in the big, beautiful bill, the Medicaid stuff that I mentioned, the work requirement, is estimated to cost 10 million people their health care between now and 2035. This change is going to cost another 4.2 million people their health care because they can't afford it. They're going to drop out between now and 2035. The result is that by 2035, absent something else, we are going to be 70% of the way back to where we were before the Affordable Care Act was passed. And so without really talking much about the Affordable Care Act in name anymore, because the Affordable Care Act has actually become popular, the Republicans are essentially going to eliminate 70% of its benefit, kind of bit by bit, piece by piece, without ever like announcing that they are going to repeal Obamacare because they realized that was a political loser. So when you again put these two pieces together, what states are hit the hardest? 7 out of the 10 of them are red states, led by Louisiana and Florida. And it's different effects in different places. Some of them are more the big, beautiful bill. Some of them are more these enhanced tax credits. But you're looking at losses of health care upwards of 7% of the population in these 10 states.
Now it is clear, like we've stated before, red states are going to get creamed with the loss of subsidies. Again, they are getting what they voted for, but unfortunately, that comes also at the expense of some of the good people that actually voted the right way to support stuff. Okay, unfortunately, that's the case. Now, here's the thing, though. I want to get a little bit deeper into this because here's the problem. Why this is sort of a slow burn. A lot of people, this is what's going to happen, right? A lot of people were paying, let's say, $400, $500 a month for healthcare. And now but it's a fairly healthy family. They are going to and now their insurance is about $2,000 a month. Went up by 300%. Okay. So they're not going to pay that $2,000. They can't afford to. But you know what? They are going to have an extra $500 now in their pockets every month. And while they're healthy, that's going to look like a pay raise to quite a few people. They're going to have that worry in their gut with the expectation that they don't get sick, but they're going to have that extra cash that they normally would have paid for their premium. So they are going to be in an extended state of a suspended state of animation, mental animation, right? And so they are not going to be all that negative quite yet, unless somebody gets very sick in the family. But then there are those that are losing this health care, like the one I showed you all a couple weeks ago, this woman with cancer who the drug no longer covers, or all these people that have kids that get sickly, 4 or 5 kids that are sickly constantly that need the service. So the slow burn is this. While it's going to be a hard hit on many, what Donald Trump and all these guys are banking on is after all these people lose their insurance because they can't afford the premium, and then they feel a little bit more with a little bit more money in their pockets because they're not paying any insurance at all. Guess what? Most of them are likely to not get very sick. And the doctor they would go see for a pain here, they'll let it go. The doctor they'll go see for an infection in their nose, they'll let it go. The doctor that they'll go to for a lot of these different things, they'll let it go. And most people are going to be okay. But for those who slip through the crack, they are going to be in dire straits. So I honestly think that is what Mike Johnson is banking on in Louisiana. That these people are used to some level of suffering, and that even though they don't have health care, they will wing it. But in as much as winging it, many of them will see a bit more money in their pockets because they're not paying any premiums. So what we have to do as moral and progressives is to not point out the present, but to point out the risk, the possibility in the future. Because I kept on racking my brains. Why would Mike Johnson, whose state is going to suffer the most, go ahead along with this? And then just out of the blue, the light went off in my mind. And it was like, my God, to some of those people who are going to lose their health care, that loss in health care to them while they're not sick will seem like a raise. My God, the evil of these people. The evil of these people is second to none. The evil of these people is second to none. All right, let's see. We have an issue here, right? A pastor got arrested, or not arrested, I should say detained, while he was protesting yesterday. And something shocking happened to him. And this should give every person of color pause, especially with that advertising blitz that's going out now for ICE agents, and knowing who are the people that are likely to take those jobs. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
A local Minneapolis pastor was among the protesters following yesterday's shooting. He was in the neighborhood where the shooting happened and has worked there for years. Reverend Kenny Callahan says he was handcuffed and detained by a masked federal agent and put in the back of an SUV. He says the agent asked, "Are you afraid yet?" When he was eventually released, Reverend Callahan says the agent told him, "Well, you're white, and it wouldn't be any fun." Reverend Callahan joins me now. Reverend, thank you for joining us. These are some explosive allegations. Tell me about what happened.
So as I arrived at church yesterday, I noticed that there was something going on just a block and a half from the church. And so I grabbed my whistles because we're used to doing that. And I went down to see what was going on. And I realized it was an ICE raid. And there were many, many protesters. So I joined the protesting. And before I knew it, I saw ICE agents circling a young woman who appeared to be Hispanic. And so I approached her, and we were at that point chanting, "We are not afraid. We are not afraid. Go out of our state. We are not afraid." And I said to this ICE agent, "Take me. Stop harassing her. Take me." The agent came, got in my face, pointed a gun at me, and said, "Are you afraid now?" To which I said, "I am not afraid." The next thing I knew, they were putting handcuffs on me, and they put me in the back of an SUV. They came back 3 times, and they asked me if I was afraid yet. To which I replied, "Hell no, I'm not afraid of you, and I'm never going to be afraid of you." The 3rd time when they came back, they asked for my identification. They asked for my cell phone. I asked them if I was under arrest. They didn't answer. And then they said to me, "Well, you're white. You won't be any fun anyway. You can get out of the car." I was astounded to experience and see such blatant racism and the effects that this is having on our community. But let me tell you, the other thing that I was amazed by was the number of different kinds of persons that were showing up at that rally to support immigrants and to be able to say, no, we are going to support our immigrant siblings because this is what we do. And so I was grateful to be there and grateful to stand in solidarity with anyone who is marginalized within our society, and will continue to advocate for the rights of my immigrant siblings here in Minneapolis and around the world.
That is a shocking thing for you to say, he said to you. Was there any other agent around? Did anybody look at him askance? Was there any reaction?
There were two other agents, and I don't know what they were saying. I was so shocked. There were two other persons in the car with me that they released, and I don't know what they were doing to them, but I know that their experiences were the same. It was definitely intimidation at its finest. And they were pepper spraying people yesterday as well and pushing people to the ground. And we were non-violently protesting. We were simply supporting our immigrant siblings and our neighbors that are being attacked by these ICE agents.
Was there any talk about the woman who was shot? I mean, when the ICE agent said, "Are you afraid yet?" What did you understand him to be implying? What was he saying to you? Why would you be afraid? What was he talking about?
So the shooting had already happened. And at that point, it was like a wave of outrage coming from the protesters and the observers. So it was that energy coming from that reality of the shooting. We heard that somebody had been shot and killed, seeing this immigrant woman being harassed. And I don't know what happened to me. In my world, I say God empowered me to speak up for somebody at that moment and gave me the strength to be able to do so. But there was no talk from the ICE agents of anything but pushing people around and acting out of power and control. Complete intimidation. And the crowd was outraged and got louder and louder and louder.
I am so proud of that pastor for sticking with it. Let me tell you guys, when you see that kind of response from our ICE, make no mistake about it. It is absolutely clear that these guys are vicious. It is absolutely clear that these guys are racist. You don't have to ask. You just have to see how they work with people. It's actually sure that they like to taunt. But most importantly, it is clear their evil is clear. But these are, from what I understand, they're recruited in areas where they expect to get Proud Boys and all these militia type people. What you think is going to be the outcome to that? And they also know that Donald Trump and the vice president and the FBI, the leader of the FBI, and that the secretary of Homeland Security are on their side. And they all know that they will constantly claim just defense, self-defense. So let's be clear here. One of the commenters says, Egberto says that ICE is like Papa Doc's Tonton Maku. And my answer is, they are just like Papa Doc's Tonton Maku. The difference is that they're better armed and their faces are covered. At least if I remember correctly, the Tonton Maku, you could see who they are. But these cowards, they're not. These cowards' faces are covered. These cowards throw people down to the ground. The Tonton Maku was, look, just look it up. Look up the videos of the Tonton Maku. That's who these guys are. Absolute criminal thugs is who Donald Trump hires to be part of ICE. So yes, I'm clear about that. Okay, I want to address something because Eric Hayes is out here spinning propaganda. And I want to make sure and call it out because I think it's important. Because it comes out and it says, At New York City. Let me put that on the screen. It's so important. I don't have the time to look at the news reel. Here it says homeowners and small landlords are facing what critics are calling a direct assault on private after New York City Council approved a sweeping new housing law that hands government-favored nonprofits unprecedented power over real estate sales, and they go on to other things. But look at the title of that thing. New York City homeowners blocked from selling under Zoran Mandami. That is a lie. There has been reports under every single mayor in New York how difficult it is to get a squatter out of your home. It has nothing to do with city law. It is state law. And let me tell you, if there's a squatter in a home, I want them gone. But this is the type of thing that the right wing use as they throw this out to their low-minded people, to the people who just don't think before they post something, to their low information supporters. This is the kind of stuff they send to their low information supporters, thinking it's going to go across. And now that it's happening under Zoran Mandami, they're going to say, oh my God, Zoran Mandami is stopping homeowners from selling their homes out from squatters. No, folks. Do not believe none of that crap. Please don't believe the crap. Okay? Anyhow, I started to see that coming up. Oh, under Zoran, we're not going to take our homes away from the squatters and all of that. Don't believe the crap. Do not believe the crap. Michael says, I'm kind of surprised there are no search results comparing Papadak Tantan Maku versus United States ICE. Wow. Well, you know what, Michael? Michael, you could be a, well, you know what? Maybe I'll write something about it and get it out there on the internet. Thank you for that, Michael. Maybe I'll write something about that so that it'll show up in the search engines. Especially since you're telling me you don't see a correlation, maybe I'll go ahead and do that. All right, my beautiful people, I have another video that it's time to show you. And here is the setup. Let me get this stuff off the screen first. Here is the setup. Oh, beforehand, thanks for LBW. LBW told me that the image that I had of Renee Good on the screen was incorrect. So let me correct that. Whenever I make a mistake, I want to correct it quickly. She said that the picture that I had was incorrect, and this is the correct picture from the website. So here is the correct picture on the website that I want to make sure to keep that up and down. Okay. Let's go ahead now and go to the third to last story. And the third to last story is about Tillis. I wonder, why is it that Republican senators, Republican congresspeople wait until they have decided to leave the current political scene before they say the things that they really should have been saying for a long time? I want you to listen to Tom Tillis here. He was almost good. He was almost good. And I'm going to leave it up to y'all to tell me the part that made him not good. But I'm going to go ahead and play it, and let's take it on the other side.
Is the administration really willing to risk the NATO alliance by potentially moving ahead with military operations?
What I think the White House said yesterday is what I will tell you now, and I've always said. The president always retained the option. Every president, not this president, every president always retains the option. I'm not talking about Greenland. I'm just talking about globally. If the president identifies a threat to the national security of the United States, every president retains the option to address it through military means. As a diplomat, which is what I am now, and what we work on, we always prefer to settle it in different ways. That included in Venezuela. We tried repeatedly to reach an outcome here that did not involve having to go in and grab an indicted drug trafficker. Those were unsuccessful, unfortunately.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking with reporters yesterday after briefing lawmakers about the situation in Venezuela. President Trump, for his part, now says the United States could be running Venezuela for years. When asked by the New York Times how long his administration will demand oversight of the South American country, Trump responded, only time will tell. As for Greenland, Secretary Rubio says he will meet with officials from Denmark's government next week to discuss the island. The foreign ministers of Greenland and Denmark requested discussions as soon as possible after Rubio told reporters it has always been President Trump's intent to purchase the territory. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina delivered a forceful defense of NATO yesterday, slamming what he called the insane and stupid comments by top White House advisor Stephen Miller about taking Greenland. Take a look.
Folks, amateur hour is over. You don't speak on behalf of this U.S. Senator or the Congress. You can say it may be the position of the President of the United States that Greenland should be a part of the United States, but it's not the position of this government because we are a co-equal branch. And if that were to come to pass, there would be a vote on the floor to make it real. Not the surreal sort of environment that some deputy chief of staff thinks was cute to say on TV. So you want to get me back to thanking the president for all the good things he's doing? Then give him good advice. One of two things happened with Greenland. Either one, the president came up with the idea that maybe we should have Greenland as a part of our assets. And somebody said that's a great idea, versus saying, Mr. President, take a look at our alliance. Take a look at the most important alliance in the history of the United States, the NATO alliance. This could actually destabilize that, Mr. President. Mr. President, you should know at one point we had 17 military installations in Greenland, and they'd be happy to have us back. They're not refusing to have us have access to project power into the Arctic. We could do it without taking over a NATO country. That's the sort of advice that they should have been given. So if the president thought it was a good idea, then he needs the expertise to say, Mr. President, that's why this is not a good idea. And I would defy you to find any credible general with a star on his shoulder who would say that it is, because they understand that the NATO alliance is what has kept this nation largely, or this world, largely safe for over 75 years. The flip side could be that Mr. Miller or somebody else said, hey, this would be cool. Let's take over Greenland. It'll be like a big aircraft carrier. Well, that's stupid too. And I'm sick of stupid. I want good advice for this president because I want this president to have a good legacy. And this nonsense on what's going on with Greenland is a distraction from the good work he's doing, and the amateurs who said it was a good idea should lose their jobs.
Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see. I'm going to tell you. That was great. It's time to get rid of stupid, true. It's also sick to want Greenland, true. He also shows he understands that the guy gets, that always comes up with crazy advice, but his advisors should be there to bring him down, true. But LBW nailed it. The good things that the president has done. What are they? What are the good things that the president has done? And the other thing he said, I want this president to maintain his good legacy. How can a president who has been impeached twice, a president who exacerbated a pandemic, please tell me, how could he possibly have a good legacy? And don't speak about now. One who is a pirate in the ocean, a murderer in the middle of the ocean, one who has the ton Maku, the Papa Doc style, people arresting people on the ground, etc. Come on. There's no good legacy about the president. The president is the president because America has still not gotten over some of its quote unquote prejudices. Everybody wants to say, oh, he won because of the economy. No. Listen to Miss Obama. Michelle Obama is correct. It had to do with gender. and race. And that combination, to overcome that, we really have to do some educating. So, Patrick, one of our listeners always come on every so often and say, racism and prejudice is very expensive. Look at the cost we are paying for it, because that's the only reason Donald Trump is president. And look at what it is going to cost us as a country, financially, environmentally, from a point of view of getting rid of a national cohesion. I mean, the rebuilding that's going to have to occur after we get this Neanderthal out of office is going to be immense. And we got to start now. But the rebuilding, my God, I was on the Everything show, or I always forget Dana Du Bois show, the name of her show for some reason. But anyway, I was on Dana Du Bois show, and I'm like, I am still very positive that we are going to move forward in the long run. We normally take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. In the case of Donald Trump, we took 2 steps backward during his first administration. Biden came, we only took 1 step forward. Then he came back, we took 5 steps backwards. So we have so much more to make up. 6 steps will only get us break even. So, brothers and sisters, it has to start now. It has to start now. And the message that I'm going to give everybody is I'm going to try to remember to tell everybody this every day, because, we get new watchers and listeners every day. This is what I'm going to remind you. Please, people, and maybe I should just put this, I should just make something that I can play it as a tape. 8 weeks before Republicans will try to suppress your vote by any means necessary in every state they control, in every county they control. It is our responsibility to make it unsuccessful. And there are ways to make it unsuccessful. One, everybody should remember 8 weeks before the election, they should check their voter registration status and make sure they are registered to vote on these different websites for the different states. Do it every single week, and after you do it, take a picture of the screen that shows you're registered. 2 days before 30 days of the election, because 30 days is usually the last time you can register. Check one more time to make sure you're registered, and take the picture of your screen and keep all of that saved. And continue to monitor every week that you're still registered to vote. And if you're not registered, and if you see your name come off of those rolls that you had nothing to do with, first of all, do what's necessary to get your name back on. Go to the county courthouse, wherever you need to go in your state. But more importantly as well, report it to the mainstream media and to independent media, to both medias. You have to do these separately, because that is what it's going to take for us to do what's necessary to win big. And that we must do, that we will do if we follow the rules. All right, I've got one quick one to let you know. If you want to know for sure if you want an example that shows you even right wingers are against Donald Trump's evil immigration policies and what's going on, I want you to listen to this young man.
We just spoke to a witness, Brandon Hewitt. I want to play what he had to say.
Around 8:30 this morning, I was just getting up and I heard a bunch of commotion and whistling outside, and then I heard bang, 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 3 shots. I went to go look out the window, and it looked like there's a Honda over there that crashed, and I found out it was an observer that got shot and killed, and I saw them carry it. I got a bunch of video of them carrying the body to ambulance and stuff. So there's an observer that got shot at an ICE raid of the house next door.
I'm sure that was a scary thing to witness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty right-leaning, but seeing this is not what you need to do. This is not how to do it. It's not how we're supposed to do things around here in America. So.
What was how many agents and other people were here when that happened?
When it first started, there was maybe 20, but now there's hundreds, and then they got everybody out. So it's kind of crazy right now.
What's it been like seeing all of this?
Kind of scary. I lived during the riots in 2020, so it's kind of paralleling that right now. It's kind of same feeling. Hoping it doesn't, but it's getting a little rowdy.
Now, let me explain something with this and why I wanted to play this minute and 30 seconds here. This is very important for this reason. I have people in our chat, people in person, people tell me all of the times, these people are immutable. Take a look at some of our right-wingers in our chat. Hateful, unable to think, unable to rationalize, immutable in their being. That's who they are. And that's some people in my chats would say, Egberto, forget about those people. They are just plain evil. They cannot be changed. They are inhumane. They cannot see humanity. And then you realize that what we are fighting for, or anybody who has morals and who has a heart, who even as they are, for whatever reasons, who they are, Trump supporters, etc., for whatever nebulous reason that got them there. But when things got to a point where they actually see the damage that what they believe in is creating, they are no longer immutable. The seed can be planted. What percentage of the supporters of the evil being are like this guy here? I can tell you out of personal experience, there are many. The problem is, how do you find them and how do you get to them? But there are many. And those are the people who I intend to reach. So for those of you that gives me knives, like I got a couple in the chat yesterday. There you go, Egberto, trying to appease. It's not about appeasement. It's about humanity. And also realizing that for us to move forward, it has to be more than 50% plus one. It has to be more than 50% plus one. It has to be much, much more. Anyway, I got to get out of here, folks. Please remember that I asked you so kindly to support the program. You can support the program by becoming paid subscribers of the newsletter. I ask you so kindly to go ahead and if you are on Substack, just click on subscribe and say, you know what, I can give Politics Done Right a coffee. I can definitely give Politics Done Right a coffee. Not a problem. And I know Egberto is ensuring that a good job is done in promoting a progressive message and getting things done. Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter if you're not already on Substack, and please consider becoming a paid subscriber. We need hundreds more to get to a break-even point. So please support us. Please support that which is trying to make a difference. That which is really trying to make a difference. Love you all. You can email me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.